Well, I met Britt probably 5 years ago, and I've always been a huge fan of Spoon. His band. I bought their first record when it came out. Telephono came out on Matador. When I was in high school. So we met in Portland because he was a fan of this video that my friend Panache, who's a Canadian filmmaker. He's made a movie called Beyond the Black Rainbow. Which is coming out pretty soon.
That's your friend?
Panache
Some good friends, man.
Yeah, well, I grew up with that guy. I met him when I was like 15. I lived with him for years. So Panache did the first Handsome Furs video, and it was the first music video he ever did. I think it was the first production he ever did with a set with like a crew, and it's this really dark video where we get killed at the end. It's like implied that we're just getting basically raped and killed at the end of the video. And Britt, for whatever reason, really liked it. Came to a show that we played in Portland. And I saw him in the crowd before the show. We said hi, and then I talked to him afterwards, exchanged numbers, and after that, anytime we were in the same city, like for South by Southwest, because he was living in Austin at the time, I believe, we'd hang out and have a drink, and we got to be friends. We'd call each other, like friends do.
How's
like,
it going?
Yeah, as you do. And then I played a couple of shows, like the Furs opened for Spoon on the Ga tour in New York, and then they were doing Spoon was doing a Wolf Parade cover on their last tour, on the Transference tour. They played Radio City Music Hall, and they did Modern World as an encore, and he flew me down to come out and do the vocals on it. So shortly after that, we were talking about starting a band together, and then I think we both simultaneously realized last year that we were talking about this band, and we realized that we were actually having a conversation about it, and that was probably going to happen. We were both pretty jazzed. So then I flew out to LA in October after the Sound Capital tour wrapped up October of 2011. Started writing songs, and that was it.
Cool. So. And has LA, how has that influenced your writing?
Well, I was in a pretty mercurial emotional state, I guess, when we started writing. So I think it sounds cheesy, but I don't think it lightened up my songwriting at all. I think I picked up on a lot of the darkness in LA. One thing I think was I lived with Britt for 5 months while we were making this record, and 4 or 5 months, and he lives up in a canyon, up in the hills, and there's coyotes everywhere. And at night I'd sample the coyotes, and I'd just listen to them, and I got really familiar with them. I could see them from my window. I'd see them on the street and stuff. And something about being around all that nature, but having this metropolis a mile down the street, I think that really influenced the writing a lot. There's a lot of organic elements on the record, but there's also this kind of modern, synthesizer drum machine stuff. So.
And I read on Facebook you guys were drinking a lot of vodka while you were writing.
Well, I was drinking a lot of vodka. He was drinking a lot of tequila. One of my favorite things about Los Angeles is that they've got there's a huge amount of Armenians there, which means there's a lot of imported Russian goods, which means there's a lot of really delicious vodka.
It's very back and seeing you live, it's very back and forth. It seems almost organic. You'll sing, he'll sing, but you guys switch it up so perfectly. How does that come about? I mean,
well, we wrote the songs, and when we were demoing them, the writing process was basically like each of us would do a really skeletal demo. I'd take it to Britt. He'd be like, "Oh, this is great. Let's move this over here," and vice versa. He'd bring stuff to me, and then we'd bring it to Sam, the drummer, and we'd play it live. And then we go back and re-demo it with the new, the new information. Put that in there, and then go play it live. And we never really had any assigned roles. Like, it was never like Britt's gonna play bass, I'm gonna play guitar. He really loves playing bass, and he is kind of the best. he's actually hands down the best bass player I've ever played with. So I think it falls more onto like he does more bass, I do more guitar, but we do switch back and forth.
You were mentioning that you're working on some soundtrack stuff.
Yeah, I'm doing a soundtrack for a movie called Adult World with John Cusack and Emma Roberts, and it's I worked with this guy David Scott Stone, who's in LCD Sound System and the Melvins, and yeah, we put together a very like we had like a 909 and an 808, a Jupiter, and some Moog synthesizers, and just I had a 606 too. So it's a ton of like analog drum machines and then keys. Like it really warped My Bloody Valentine style key patches. So
Cool.
That's what we've been doing.
Well, not to stray too far away from the Divine Fits, but how is that? What's the is there a difference in writing music for a movie versus?
I'd never done it before, and yeah, I mean, I think I was still writing song elements, you know, like I was writing song elements for what was ostensibly going to be cue music, but I was still thinking of it like a song. So I think it worked. I had to kind of unlearn some of the stuff that I usually do, you know. It was weird not having vocals on everything, and also weird writing something I thought was like good, you know. I get psyched about a drum part, and I'd want to hear it, you know, in a and I always think when I'm writing, I can't wait to play this on stage. But with the soundtrack, I mean, obviously, it's not going to happen, right? You're never going to be up there playing that song with a PA in front of an audience. It's for a film, so. I mean, that seems like a very simple concept to get your head around, but when you've been writing music for so long for the stage, for playing live in front of people, it took some adjustment. So.
Very cool. Very cool.
I'm Dan from Divine Fits, and you're watching Sidewalk Hustle.
Awesome. Dude, it's a super pleasure.
Pleasure to meet you, man.